Hello, everyone. This is Elizabeth Wood, and this is a New Earth conversation with Troy Tate, an author and a Sacred Circle creator, a co-creator, and I'm so excited to have him. He's really fun and interesting and very knowledgeable, and we have this incredible subject we're going to unwrap today, the resurrection of the Sacred Circle. And I just thank you so much, Troy, for coming today. I really appreciate it.
I'd love to be here. Thank you for asking me, Elizabeth.
My pleasure. So what I wanted to do is just begin talking about some anthropological concepts here. I want to talk about the Sacred Circle a little bit and what human beings coming into a circle means and why it was lost for some time, or why it was continued on in secret a lot of the time, and how it's begun to resurrect over the past 25, 30, even 50 years. All of us, most of us, have been in some kind of circle before, whether it be a classroom circle or a prayer circle. And the coming together of human beings in a sacred circle is an ancient tradition. So this history behind the circle is really special. Why do people get together in circles? So many reasons, but usually to put their attention on some particular subject. And the bringing together of human beings and their attention can magnify different subjects and magnify the power of everyone present. It's an exponential effect energetically that people have when they come together in a sacred circle. And when people are coming together to focus in on something, a desire, an outcome, a hope, an idea, this is incredibly powerful and puts a lot of velocity behind a specific timeline or outcome. That is the power of the sacred circle. And it's so ancient, we don't even have the ability to really understand exactly when some such things could have begun, but we know that ancient people gathered around a fire at night. The fire piece has been very important in the evolution of the sacred circle. And ancient people who were even pre-human, such as Homo erectus, Floresiensis, Habilis, all of these incredible beings who were not human, they had fire, and they would gather around and they would share food. And we don't really know for sure what kind of languaging they had, but if they did have it, they would have shared stories too. And those would have been the very rudimentary beginnings of a sacred circle. But the sacredness, the creativity behind it is very Homo sapien. And we are all evolving towards an even higher form of human being. We haven't stopped evolving. We're becoming sacred humans. And that is going to be shown in some of the activities that we do on the new earth. And one of these things will be the resurrection of the sacred circle. And the sacred circle will be available to us virtually and physically. So no longer do we need to have a fire to gather round or beautiful stones to gather round and mark certain times and ages, like solstices or equinoxes, and ancient people did that. They really utilized the sacred circle during those times. But now we have a new way, a way to gather together in a circle that is beyond the physical. We have the technology to be able to do this at a global level. So this is a new kind of sacred circle. And furthermore, the consciousness of humanity is being purposefully ascended. We are being asked to embody many scales of light and many scales of energy. And I'm moving a little bit away from the concept of dimension here and the concept of the 12 dimensions is a very well-established one. But the physics are starting to show that everything has dimension, so it would be more appropriate to say scales of existence or scales of light in this case. So that's the term that I'm using at the moment. Bringing in all these scales of light, we have reset the experiment of consciousness on Earth. So all of us who are stepping out of any fields of limitation at the moment, our attention on things is so vital. And being in a sacred circle brings our attention into the present, where we have all of our power and our action available. And there is an ancient adage, a Christian adage that came out of the Bible: when two or more are gathered in my name. This is a truth that is so important. And when we gather together in any amount, that is the beginnings of a sacred circle. And then we all are able to feel the oneness with one another, whether you can see the person or not, virtually or in person, it doesn't matter. We have this connectivity that is so key. And as all of the resonance comes together, we resonate with each other to manifest whatever ideas, hopes, desires that each individual and the group have together. And so sacred circles at the moment have many different functions. It's not exactly something brand new, it's that it's evolving and changing. Women and men have been getting into circles, doing work for ages, doing processing work, doing support work, doing prayerful work. And so the new kind of sacred circle, however, has a measurable outcome. It's a measurable outcome of manifestation in many different layers and ways. And one of them is to be able to bring a desire to the table and have many people focus in on that desire in order to put a lot of power behind it, put a lot of light and support behind it. Furthermore, sacred circles can be simply the ability to feel more connected to people who are awake, like us here all together today in our sacred circle, this New Earth conversation. And we feel connected, we feel supported, we feel less alone. The illusion of isolation is one of the most horrible killers of the modern human. And this is so important for us to break through and break free of any false idea that we are completely isolated or separate. That density needs to be unwound so that we can feel really supported, that we can feel like we have people to connect to. So we want to be able to manifest this in a really beautiful virtual way. But now we have some clarity of what is the sacred circle, how is it historically now different than it used to be. The main difference is that it's virtual and that the experiment of consciousness is back online for the first time in probably 500,000 years. We are in a spectacular time on the planet, brand new waters. We've never been here before. So the sacred circle will get to evolve with us as we become sacred humans. And so Troy and his friend, I'm going to mispronounce it. Troy,
Mari.
Tell us a little.
Mari Brennan.
Great, Mari. Mari Brennan and Troy Tate got together, and they have created an extraordinary sacred circle, which I wanted to share with you today. It's a special kind of circle called the Power of 11, where 11 people get together to put their attention on each other's desire, whatever the desire is that that person comes to the table with. And the outcome has been astounding. We want to talk about how did this beautiful Power of 11 come to be, Troy, and tell us more about this process of co-creating this amazing new sacred circle.
It's pretty amazing that this all came to be. This only happened this year, 2018. prior to that time, what has always been my passion is helping people understand their original blueprint, really helping them understand, discover, and live their purpose. And I have a really, really good friend who I've known for a decade or more, and she shared with me right at the very end of last year that she had done something years ago where she had people come together and kind of ask for help from each other. And she shared what she set up, what she had created. And instantly I just felt this wow feeling about this and a desire to want to do this. And what happened was I met Mari at an event in late January. I had not known her before, and I just felt drawn to share with her what that idea was. And she was very excited about it as well. And then we started doing that live in meetup.com groups in February, and the results have been astounding. We kind of, the first month had, those little glitches and, bumps as to what it could be. But then something came to me, because what was originally shared with me is for people to say, I want help with this or that, or they're not even saying that. Can you give me the answer to this, or can you give me the answer to that? And what I found when we had our first meeting was that so much time was spent kind of in context, but you never really get to what people wanted. And so I really worked on how can we make it so pure that we really can help each other, and how can we make it so pure that we will come there with our hearts and not with our minds. Because I had been at many meetings before where you have, quote, network meetings where you're trying to sell one another your goods or services. And I didn't want that at all, because it all felt so icky. It felt so forced. I wanted people to come with their hearts and to be able to share and give and help and receive help in a very high way with love. And out of that came this, what if we focus solely on making sure right at the beginning when someone shares, they start with a single sentence. And the single sentence starts with the words, I want. And when that change occurred, when we changed that in the live meeting, everything changed, because it became a much more authentic. People were willing to risk more. When we had the kinds of an exercise to begin with that allowed us to break down the barriers, then we had incredible sharing taking place of people who had just met each other, and incredible help take place both at that meeting and after. So we've continued to refine that so that people can start to really experience what you said, which is this sense of community, the sense of being with their tribe, the sense of being able to trust and speak their truth that so many of us don't get. You're absolutely right. We feel so isolated in this world where everybody has so many connections in social media. We are more isolated than ever heart-wise. And so we talked with Sarah Landon and asked if we could do it with her group where we had met. And we did in May with some groups, and it just was amazing because we did this time online. We did it virtually. We didn't do it in person where we were seeing each other face to face, and it was a little scary at first to think, can this work in that arena? And it actually worked fantastically well. It was just awesome in terms of both the results, what people felt immediately at the time, what they felt just after, and the changes and shifts that took place in their life after that. And so it's come to be an amazing experience of what you have brought to me, which is known as Sacred Circle. It's just an incredible experience where we can feel community, trust, a sense of speaking our truth, our voice, and feeling this love and support unlike anything we felt before.
That's so meaningful, and as a scientist, I love measurable results. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about learning about your Power of 11 piece here, because you've had such incredible feedback. And what made me really interested in this concept was a funny little event because I had another guest to come on New Earth Conversation, my friend Victoria Moore, and her internet punked out because she was in South Africa and something happened with a storm. So instead of just canceling the call, we did an impromptu call. And I got more feedback about that call, about us just checking in. Hey, how are you? How are you feeling? What are other people reporting feeling? How is everybody really doing? What's going on in your life? And I was so profound. And people messaged me and emailed me, that was amazing. That's the best call you've ever done. You got to do that more often.
Yeah.
And I didn't even do anything. I was just checking in. That checking in, that connectivity it's medicine. It's medicine to the soul. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm being shown something here. This is a need. There's a huge, huge need, a gigantic gap. I can't tell you how many people say, I'm the only one in my community who thinks the way I do. I'm all alone and I have nobody to talk to about what I'm thinking about and what I'm experiencing. And I feel so alone and isolated.
Yeah.
And it was like being held. Everyone could hold each other. It was like a giant group hug in this beautiful way. And the outcome was so fantastic. And everyone walked away from that call feeling, wow, I'm really not alone. And I understand where I'm at better now by simply being able to hear where people were at. We didn't go in solving a whole bunch of problems or anything like that. It was really just being present, checking in, compassion, people being able to be heard and be held and feel supported. Oh, incredible. So tell me a little bit about some of the interesting measurable results that have happened for the people that came to the Power of 11, coming in saying, I want. Gosh, when's the last time someone asked you, what do you really, really want from the depths of your soul? What do you want? We don't ask each other that much, do we?
No. And there's a lot
don't.
to that. I'd love to discuss about that. But let's talk first, like you said, the measurable results. This is so cool. So one person who was a stay-at-home mother, she had one child who was, I think, 8 or 9 years old. Again, none of us knew each other. We knew the person who was the leader. It was her community, Sarah Landa, but we didn't know each other. And she had been trying to get pregnant for years and had felt more and more frustrated, more and more resistance. And her want was simple. I want to be pregnant. I want to have another child. And when we followed up with her right after, it was just beautiful. She said she felt such a peace. She let go of a lot of the stuff that just was churning inside of her. Talked to her, that was in May. Talked to her in July. She's now pregnant.
Wow.
And everything is beautiful for her. And she's still got some anxiety. Will I have it to full term? You know, that kind of stuff. But she's helping to let go of those things. We had another person who was on various medication along with her son who was autistic. And they had built up and had to have more and more medication to deal with her condition. And her desire was to have it pull back, that she can be in a good state health-wise with less and less medication. I talked with her less than a month later. She had dropped it down either a third or a half of what she was before. She felt better. She felt much better, and so it wasn't feeling the impact of that. She had also talked about, well, I want to go outside the city and I want to buy a home that we can use for retreats and for spiritual get-togethers. And from the response of the group and the ideas of the group and my follow-up with her, she came to understand that doesn't necessarily have to take place, that she can create that without all of the complications of having to buy more real estate and bring things together, and created in her home a sanctuary, a place where someone could come like on an Airbnb, and it was a beautiful thing in a room that she created. And she said, I felt so much peace. I felt that's what I wanted. I wanted to have that feeling there was a place to go to. And so excited about the results there. Other people who are spiritual, they think they have gifts. They don't know what those, whether, how to break the ice in sharing those gifts with others. Well, spontaneously it opened up with their saying, I want to be able to share my gift with this group. And so various members of the group said yes. And so there are people who were speaking light language who had not had any chances to have sessions with other people were having sessions in light language, and others as an intuitive guidance session. And they just felt so much more confidence in them that they were stepping into their gifts. So they feel so much more confident, so much more on purpose as they are now sharing what their heart wanted, but they didn't know how to break through. And so those are some of the answers. Someone else is writing a book right now that it just came out of him. He didn't know what he wanted. And all of a sudden he just felt in that meeting that's what he wanted, and he's in the midst of writing a book that he wants to finish in December. So it's been amazing because people have found that somehow those wants kind of percolate up into their heart, and in this kind of environment with the high vibrational love going on, they are able to express what they truly want rather than what they thought they wanted.
Yeah. That leads us to the question of, when you really ask yourself, what do you really want? There's an incredible process that happens internally. And at first, I like to think in terms of the three minds, the brain, heart, and gut. And I feel all three of my brains turn on. and my brain has all kinds of different things that it wants to say, and then my heart wants to come in and add her 2 cents, and my gut does too. And the heart comes from your perfect body memory and the connection to the collective, and the gut comes from that grounded emissaries of the earth, the bacteria, saying, here's how you can survive in harmony with the planet. And when we get all three brains involved, there's a special occurrence that's going on, this interesting combination of my logical pro-con brain mind, my divine feeling heart mind, and my grounded divine knowing gut mind wanting to come in and co-create a true want that represents who I am and what I truly need and how I can serve this planet and be able to receive back at the same time. And it's interesting because a lot of the wants that people ended up presenting will help other people. Isn't that amazing? That blows my mind.
It's truly amazing what's happening. It's truly amazing. Then I learned that later, just recently, that the joy of asking what you want and getting what you want actually measure the same on an energetic level. So the very act of having the expression come out of you, this is what I want, is at the same level of getting that. Even though you may not get it right away or however it comes, it's the beauty of the release and the receiving of higher love and light that comes from sharing that and knowing that I'm speaking my truth. I am connecting with others. And then to feel that, they all said this at the end of the meeting. It was incredible. They said, I felt so free to be able to share what I want and to be vulnerable. And they said before, even if the spiritual community, I felt connected to the leader, but I felt so isolated, like you said. And they all felt like, wow, I'm now with my tribe. I'm now with people who understand. I feel like so connected now. I feel I'm empowered. One person said, I feel like I just took off in a rocket ship, and I don't know where it's going, but I'm loving the ride. And that's the kind of empowerment that's taking place in these circles, these sacred circles, Power of 11.
And you had a keyword. You hit a couple of keywords here, vulnerability and empowerment. And those are two things that we don't always hear come together. That vulnerability can turn into empowerment. And it's interesting because when I take those two concepts and the energy behind them, and I'm looking at the vulnerability of, for example, individuals coming to me in a one-on-one session. They're feeling incredibly vulnerable. They're being truly seen inside and out, literally. and people will even say, oh, gosh, I'm really nervous, even though they might have had readings before. And that's a sign of that power of the energy of vulnerability and then being able to walk away feeling empowered. But when you're in a group, when you're in a sacred circle, this is magnified in exponential terms, in measurably exponential terms. And that vulnerability then gets met with immeasurable empowerment that is far beyond what can happen with only just two people, even though that's super powerful to truly be vulnerable with an individual. When you're vulnerable to a group and even more so vulnerable to yourself, being willing to go deep down and say, really, for sure, what exactly do I really want? And asking the self that. We don't really ask ourselves that very much. We don't really do that. We often will ask that question when we're trying to solve problems. What comes to mind is my two toddlers coming up to me, crying, upset, unable to barely speak. What do you want?
Yeah.
How can I help you stop crying? But when we ask this in a very spiritual way and we ask our whole body and our whole soul what we really want, and then we present that body and soul to a spiritual sacred circle, a coming together of like minds, that's the rocket ship. That there's all that power. And it opens up all the power. And what is this power? If you could name the power, this energy behind the empowerment, Troy, or describe it, what comes to mind?
The power that was palpable for me and what others expressed is they just felt so loved, so accepted, so validated that whatever they say, no one's going to say no. It's because I know I was raised, and many of us have been raised, either through neglect or abuse or whatever, not to speak what we want, not to really say what we want. And so we hold off that whole feeling that's, maybe we've been shamed about it, and it's just really hard to even feel like we can. And so there's a healing taking place as all this love is felt, and the expression comes out, and it's received with even more love. And there's a shift that takes place there, that this is a whole new experience. They can speak what they want and feel even greater love and reception than they could dream possible. And that's what I think happens, is that empowerment comes from, I am loved for sharing who I am and what I want.
I love it. And that leads also to the other people in the group witnessing that vulnerability and the experience of being able to give that love, that power, that energy, and of course in a space of non-judgment without condition. The experience of giving that to someone who you might not even really know at all. And being able to give that without condition, being able to hear all these people and what they want. And that's transformative as well. That person then can step into a space of giving at a level that is so pure. That, to me, that defines New Earth. That right there. There's got to be a foundation for this concept of New Earth. New Earth is a new way of interacting, a new way of being human, and from there, of course, a new way of being able to get our needs met, and from that foundation is built a brand new system of politics, economics, social structure, beliefs, ideas, words. But it's got to start somewhere, and it starts there. It starts with that person sitting in a group, hearing all of these people in this sacred circle, vulnerable, with their whole heart and soul out on the line, and asking for all of us to open ourselves with unconditional love and put our attention on it. Put our attention on it and allow ourselves to become conduits. That is transformative. That gives us a very beautiful clue in of what is going to be required of us on a day-to-day basis, interacting with human beings as a sacred human. That, to me, is the key. Really
yes.
feels amazing.
And what happens, it reminds me of what happens sometimes. The vulnerability of being able to ask what we want. There's also a shared vulnerability in sharing and helping that person. So what we found is in the live events, this person is going through a difficult emotional or whatever struggle. Out of the blue, the person actually sitting next to him had just gone through that struggle and would share openly all of the feelings that they went through, and and they know the path. And so here there is the answer to the vulnerability of sharing that, and someone else saying, yes, me too, I can do that. I mean, I've gone through that, and I can help you. And that was pretty amazing to feel both ends of it, people giving and receiving with vulnerability and with love.
Wow, I'm getting really emotional right now. I'm seeing this as the end of true isolation and separation, the end of the illusion that we are all alone, that we are all one, and there is no separation. And that's proof to me. That's measurable proof. When you go to a sacred circle and you don't know anyone, and literally the person next to you has gone through exactly what you're going through, and they know the path, and they can take you by the hand, and there's that incredible trust. There's a trust there that is measurable. Okay, yes, please help me. Please help me move through this. I trust you. I don't know you, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We're here together. There are no coincidences. We came in this moment for a reason. To me, that's the intelligence of the love of the universe, the intelligence of Source God moving through, saying, my beautiful, beautiful human children, my gorgeous souls that are one with me, there is no separation. This is not the true illusion. The truth is right here. Let me show you. Let me show you that in this circle I'm going to have right next to you someone who's been through what you've gone through. Wow. That means so much to me. I'm a little bit speechless. But
yeah,
I think
it was jaw-dropping to see that, and to see it not just didn't happen once, it's happened like 4 or 5 times. So, yeah, it's like, wow, these people were orchestrated to be here in this moment, in this circle, and to literally sit next to each other. And one of the things that we've done in the live events that is pretty cool is we have gazing exercise where we look into that person next to us eyes for a few minutes.
Wow.
And we see all of the walls start to drop as we look into one another's eyes. Well, the person whose eyes you're looking into on a few of those occasions is the person who actually has been through what you're going through and you need help with. How did that happen? And the walls broke down with the gazing, and then they're there to help you. So it's just truly amazing to me and so miraculous in so many ways.
Truly, it's miraculous. And it reminds me, too, I've struggled over the years, really sitting down and asking, why? Why all this suffering? I've done thousands and thousands of sessions with people, incredible amounts of suffering. I'm on the phone with folks, and I'm often amazed at the fact that they are still alive. And I look at my own life and can say the same. And all this suffering. And it's interesting to me now because I don't feel any of the trauma or pain about my own life history or story anymore. And part of the reason is because with being able to connect to people in such an intimate way, I have found that the reasons why I went through all of the things I went through were so profound. It was because I needed to help that person in the future, in this moment that I'm with them, that I was there, that I had that experience so that I could be there and say, I truly know what you have gone through. I truly understand. I'm with you. You are not alone. I'm linking arms with you on this road together. Here we are. And I know. And to be able to feel that full-blown empathy, true divine empathy, that connectiveness, then it makes our suffering not part of a terrible story that we want to avoid anymore. It makes our suffering part of this incredible weaving of life, a supportive web where we are being supported and people are coming and saying, oh, Elizabeth, I know I'm here for you. And I'm able to say, I'm here for you too. And this connectivity, it breaks us free of one of those 5 fields of limitation, the field of limitation around using energy. We're not using each other in a I just need to get my needs met way in a sacred circle. We are stepping out of that field of limitation into a field of limitlessness where there is this connectivity, the web of life, connecting us in this intimate web of life where everything has an incredible linked reason why it occurred. And then everything makes sense from that perspective. That, yes, I'm here on this thread, and all these people who are, have experienced what I've experienced or are experiencing what I've experienced, we're all connected on this web in an intimate way, in an intimate fashion, and that our healing can come from also the sharing of, I'm with you, I know, I understand, let me help you. Grab my hand, let's go together. That's so profound.
Yeah. And I just have found every time we do this, I just like, that is a desire of my heart, is to, Mari feels the same way, that we want to create these circles where we can enter into a whole new phase of feeling community, of feeling this trust, of feeling this empowerment that comes from really deeply giving and receiving from the heart, deeply sharing and being vulnerable from the heart. And I know, like, as you started telling me about this is a sacred circle, when I shared what we're doing, yes, it just clicked. That's exactly what we need to come back to help this earth ascend back into to expand into a higher amount of love, a higher amount of trust, a higher amount of everything that we want for ourselves and for others.
Yeah. And another fascinating piece around this, too, is that men and women are coming together in these sacred circles. And for a long time, it was men's circles and women's circles. And sometimes you'd have circles, like drum circles and other kinds of processing circles that were bringing men and women together. But this is a human attribute. This is a human connection that goes beyond age, it goes beyond gender, and everyone can be accepted just as they are, with total, full, unconditional love. And this is the power that is the foundation of that empowerment. All of that pure unconditional love is you just come exactly the way you are. You can just be you. There's no one here to judge you. That is not why we're here. We are here to receive and give precious love. That means a lot to the healing of the masculine and the feminine and their relationship. And it means a lot to the earth.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you come into these events, there's no qualifications, there's no preconceived notions of anyone's here. There are some occasions where two people know each other, or three, but you're right, the vast majority do not. And so they don't have any of these complicated patterns of feeling like I can't really share because this person might say something about it to another person outside the group. But that is one thing that we share within the group, is that whatever happens in the group stays in the group. That whatever we're doing here is designed to have everyone feel complete and full trust with one another, and that whatever is shared is something to help them get through and get what they want and be empowered, and not something to be used in any other way. And people accept that, and that's important, is that you have that privacy, that connection that we all know is for the mutual benefit of all in that moment and not for any other purpose.
Oh, I love it. That's so gorgeous. So we have a little bit of time left, about 20 minutes or so, and I wanted to, before we take any questions, I wanted to give people a chance to be able to be part of these two very different circles to receive. And so, Troy, how can people join in with your Power of 11? What will it cost them? What does that look like?
Okay. What the Power of 11, this is something that Mari and I have spent a lot of time about, because what we wanted to do was something different than what's out there. We wanted something to kind of be, in a sense, New Earth. And so what the two components of the Power of 11, one is the actual event, which takes 2 hours, and then there's the follow-up. And so we wanted to help people see that not only what happens at the event is amazing, but people following up with each other afterwards and really getting down more deeply with one another and understanding and helping. So to join the group, it will only be $10. It's a nominal fee, but it means you're investing skin in the game, in a sense. You're saying, I'm committed to be there. And so that's what it will be initially, an invoice for $10. And then what happens after you've had that experience inside that Power of 11 and had a week or so of experiences of follow-up in giving to others and receiving from others, we then do this new form of the pricing. We send you a second invoice, and the invoice is, you can choose to give as little as $1, so for a total amount of $11 for the whole experience, or as much as you feel inspired to give beyond that. So then it becomes up to you, because what we do with these funds is we want to expand it to more and more communities to allow more and more people to feel this experience. And I just really feel drawn to let people decide what they want to give, and that will flow back to them in many other ways anyway. And if they feel constrained financially, they can only do 1 month or one time $11, that's okay. We want them to have the experience and not be canceled out because of lack of funds. But if they have that ability to know that I'm going to be giving and receiving in a higher level as I give and receive, both in the donation afterwards on the second invoice, and also with the people in one-on-one time with helping them and being helped by them, that's going to be what I think is really also empowering and liberating. They choose what that amount is, and that can be whatever it is. And we're very open and excited about that. So
I love
for
it.
you,
I love this pricing scheme too, especially. Yeah, go ahead.
So for people in your group, they merely need to send an email to you with in the subject line Power of 11 and say they are interested, once you get those and pass them on to us, we will send them an invoice that will be for the $10. And that will then be once we get a group of 11. And sometimes it's a little less than 11. It's still the power is there. So it's not like if there's not 11 people, it's all bad. No, it works in 8, 9, 10, 12. It can work very, very well. And then we send that. They're committed, and we give them a date and a time for the event. And this is one they have to participate in online, so it'll be a similar type approach as to this meeting where you come to maybe, even the same instant teleseminar kind of device, and then we all have the opportunity to experience the power of 11 there and then get the follow-ups going afterwards.
That's amazing. So my email, everyone, whoever listens to this now or in the future, you can email me at Elizabeth@Seer, SEER, and scientist.com. Just put Power of 11 in the subject line, and I will make sure you get to go to these beautiful calls. And what you're saying, Troy, is also that whatever connections you make in these circles, you can keep. You can connect to these people indefinitely. You're building a relationship with a tribe. It doesn't end after the call ends.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, because one of the things Mari and I want to do even more than that, we want to have another meeting with that group, let's say 3 months later, 2 or 3 months later, and let everyone share what has happened with them as a group. And we did that with the other group. So we have this feeling of coming together. And after that point, if they want to continue having their meetings and meeting together either in small groups or in the group, we want to support that in any way we can. But we, in terms of our organization, is to make sure they have one opportunity a couple months later to come together again and experience what they've experienced, and even then to ask another want. We did that with Sarah's group, and it was wonderful. And so we feel like that's a really good way of even cementing deeper the relationships among the members of that group.
Oh, I love it. See, that's so cool. It's so precious to be able to be building a tribe from that and to be able to continue the empowerment. It doesn't just stop. That's perfect. Right. That's good. What I found that from seminars and workshops, you go and you leave, you're in nirvana, you're feeling awesome, and then 2 weeks later you're in the slump. And we want this to just keep building on itself. Just expanding, building more connections, more trust, more vulnerability, more empowerment, more trust, more connection. And so it expands and expands and expands. That's what we want for it. So there's never this lull where it just drops off into a dark hole. Exactly. Yeah, there's no more lull. I love this. No more lull, everybody. And so to join in, again, just email me, say Power of 11, subject line, Elizabeth@Seer and Scientist. And then on my end, I really want to continue this networking, this community building. And that to me is, of course, it really revs up my engines as an anthropologist. Community building, that's like, that's the heart of anthropology there. And what I've done is I've created a Sacred Circle network. And we're meeting on Sunday, everyone, on this Sunday. So today is, boy, I never am really with the calendar very well anymore. Time just goes so fast. Today's the 7th, so on the 9th of September is our first Sacred Circle network call, and that is a live call that you can listen to. It's a check-in. We're going to all come in, check in together, and it's the price of a movie ticket, my favorite number, 9. 9 is the number of wholeness and oneness. And so we come together, but you don't just end there. We're not going to just end there. We're going to share ideas and projects. We're going to share hopes, dreams, meditations. We're going to share energetic news. We're going to be together talking about what's going on in our lives, being vulnerable together. And then with that access, you'll be able to come in and join on my new forum where we can also share projects, ideas, hopes, dreams, and anything that's showing up for you. And I really want to keep the network flowing. So you'll have access to that forum, and we can actually type to each other in the middle of the night and share projects. That's the beauty of all of this, and being able to connect the right people to their tribe and feel that support and ongoing experience. And so I think that's what I've been wanting to do, is create a sacred circle networking energetic where we can continue to keep that momentum and flow and connectivity going as well. It's different than the Power of 11 because we're not bringing to the table a what do I want and then having all of that really beautiful power come through around that specific desire. It's more of a check-in community building circle. So again, there's two really different opportunities here, and they can serve you in many different ways. And you can be able to find a tribal partnership, a community that spans the globe. Very precious work being done on this, and we'll be able to meet every month on my circle, and you can go to Troy's Power 11 circle as much as you like. So there isn't a limitation on this. We're trying to make sure it's really affordable, really easy, and something special that we can all take part in. To be able to come to my Sacred Circle network, you can just pop onto my store on the website, sphereandscientist.com/store. You'll see at the top a beautiful rainbow circle of stones will be the picture, and that's the Sacred Circle network joining in for $9 a month so that you can come to a beautiful call and also have unlimited access to the forum. So there's these offerings that we want to be able to share with you so we can resurrect the power of the sacred circle and make sure that we're all getting our needs met and watching the measurable, miraculous results occur because of it. So, my friends, if you have any questions on this, please type it in this time. We're not going to do a live question call this time because we have about 10 minutes right now. Type in any questions into the Q&A board. I'm looking for anything coming through that you'd like to talk about, any questions. So, Troy, Rose asks, what happens if what you really want is connected to your partner being part of that, and they share the same want and desire yet are stuck in fear, and the how of it? So for Rose, Troy, what kind of advice would you have with that interesting scenario?
What I understand from what the question is what she has is her partner not really on the same wavelength of wanting what she wants. And and is that what I'm understanding? That what you want is for your partner to feel as excited about wanting something as you are. And
yeah,
my
I
answer
think the want is there, but what she's saying is that they share the same want, but that person's stuck in fear about how it's going to happen. Okay.
Well, that exactly, in one of those Power of 11 events, you have the opportunity right off the bat to say, here's what I want. And you might say, I want, and phrase it however you want in terms of, I want to be where my partner is and allow that partner to be free from fears, but you have no control over that partner. So maybe the want would be, I want to be able to help my partner release his or her fears associated with this kind of intimacy or whatever it is. And it's shared in that way. And you say that in the first sentence or so, you have a few, about 20 more seconds then to explain what it is, and then allow the group to come back because they may have, again, similar experiences. And what happens often is it may not be right in that group experience of the 2 hours where you get the answer, but someone calling you up after the event and saying, here's what just happened to me, something that was just like what you were experiencing, and here's what they shared about it. And then all of a sudden they're getting that answer that they want, even though right at the event someone didn't come up with that particular answer. So the key is to come up in a sense, heartfully come up with that sentence, I want, and allow Source and the hearts of the others present to help provide that for you in terms of both support, vibration, and the follow-up that will help them. One of the key things that we do with that is just I'll mention is it's important for us to bring into every event appreciation right up front. Appreciation is so valuable in terms of bringing in that vibration of appreciating everything that's happening, including things that don't seem to be in our favor, that everything is working for our good. And when we bring that level of appreciation in and that vibration of love, amazing things will happen. So that's what I would suggest, is to be able to articulate it and be able to share it and to let that power that comes to the power of 11 start to help you, help your partner, and help your partner come in if he or she wants to be in. And those fears can be healed.
Exactly. And Rose, I want to present another kind of way to look at this as well. Another way to look at it would be that the fear rising up in your partner in this situation, or the other person that you're trying to co-create stuff with, the fear that's rising up in that is a very special sign. It's a clue. It's a clue that there's a huge obstacle in that person, perhaps a deeply seated program, perhaps trauma, perhaps a field of limitation around worrying about the future. There's a lot of different things that it could be, or a combo of all of those, and that person is needing to be very clear about what that fear is. That fear is something that will help transform them. If they're willing to not resist it, move into it, and welcome that obstacle of fear, then it can move out of the way and dissolve so that they can become more empowered and more powerful than they were before that. They can learn a special lesson there. So we don't want to look at fear as unimportant or even something terrible or bad. Fear is a clue. Fear is a spectacular clue that there is a huge obstacle there for someone to move through so that they can become more powerful and advance their soul on the other side. So that is a special way to look at it. Even if the thing that you're trying to co-create with that person is really special and you're really excited about it and you don't have any fear around it, but it brings fear up in them, that's a really beautiful time of saying, I'm with you. Let's not run away from the fear. We need to walk into it so that we can come out the other side together. I'm with you. Let's go together. Let's do this together. So the desire then can be, I want my partner to be able to come out on the other side of this co-creative effort, a better and more powerful soul. And that's a huge, gorgeous want. That's a beautiful desire.
Beautiful
so I think
want,
that is another kind of perspective to look at. What is fear exactly?
Yeah.
So we have
and
Alan.
The expression of
go ahead, Treya. Mm-hmm.
Even the expression of fear that we've had people express their fears in the event, that is a powerful way of helping to move it beyond you. I mean, because in that whole atmosphere of love, expressing honestly, here's what I'm fearing, you are being with it, and they are being with you and supporting you and giving you that ability to move it beyond you and let it leave.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's so great. So right now we have no more clear questions coming through. If you've got anything that's just random coming up, any questions about what we've talked about at all, feel free to type it into the Q&A board on the webcast, or because we're at the hour and I'd love to help you out if there's anything. Or, if you have any questions come up a little later, like later in the day, you're like, gosh, I really have a question, email me. And I'm happy to forward it to Troy, give you my perspective if you like. You can email me at elizabeth@SeerandScientist. And if you'd like to join in the Power of 11 or have any questions about the Sacred Circle Network and Forum, you can email me as well. And one last time, Elizabeth at Seer and Scientist. Wow, I feel so much better than I did at the beginning of our call, Troy. I feel like we were called to power through this and move through. We've had a weird morning, but we're moving through this and offering something special to the world. And we're not alone. This is happening all over the world. The resurrection of the sacred circle has been manifested in many people's lives in many different ways, and we will see more and more of this. And so here we are all forerunners. We're in brand new waters. We are mapping out the new earth together, friends. All of us are forerunners right now. So however this looks in your life, moving through it and being able to share what you've gone through is key right now. Being able to share what you've gone through helps everyone make sure that they are on the right path to this new blueprint, this brand new foundation for the new earth. And so thank you so much, Troy, for being with us today. I so appreciate your time and your energy and your knowledge and this gorgeous creation, the Power of 11. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you, Elizabeth, for being who you are and being such a light to so many of us.
It means a lot to me. Yeah. Hey, someone just typed in, thank you both so much. I really feel myself relaxed, and I realize it's a step on our journey together. I love that new want. Thank you. So there we go.
Good. That's great.
Much appreciated for that. We really appreciate you too. Very good. So have a beautiful day, everyone. And we will be connected. This offering for the Power of 11 is indefinite. And same with the Sacred Circle Network. So namaste to all of you. Have a wonderful day. And we hope to hear from you soon. God bless everybody. Thank you, Troy. We'll talk soon.
God bless. Take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.